Here's one of my favorite humans on television, at least. Will Kurtz, Michael Coran, your host. We're talking about difficult interactions. And I just told Will about an entitled friend of mine, Charlie, who I and many other people feel this way, even though Charlie's very charming from the South, has Southern charm. But just you can never do enough for Charlie, and Charlie might consider it beneath him to do anything for anybody else.
Right.
So I want to hear how Will. Oh, and I said one more key thing. It took me 40 years to get. Marshall Rosenberg calls it beloved divine energy, but I didn't want to bring in divinity. But get that really freeing love flow. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
You know, I mean, we don't have to try. I mean, I'm not sure. It's a freeing flow for sure. So, and no, we didn't have to try. So what? And I was so glad. I do feel this with Charlie, but it doesn't seem to help us, to tell you the truth. I feel a little better when I'm with him.
Yeah.
And he loves being with me because we have that between us now.
Right, right.
But still, it doesn't stop him from wanting more and more.
Right. Yeah, I think there are certain people who are programmed maybe that way. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's what I was saying when he was brought up and loved by his father.
So he was brought up and his mother passed before he was born, or not before he was born,
no,
obviously,
when he was 6.
When he was 6. So he has conscious memories of his mother.
Yes.
And I can't imagine how hard it must be to lose your mother when you're 6 years old.
Yeah.
And after that, you mentioned his dad sort of doted on him, and he was spoiled. He was spoiled.
He was the mother. He was the wife in some ways.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. But don't you think that entitlement might be out of a just constant need to fill a void that can never be filled, and that's what his father was trying to do, was to maybe fill it with, as I was saying, with just, you know, over emotive love, or you know, more material possessions, less boundaries, less discipline, whatever it is, whatever it means to spoil a child.
Now that you mention it, it's sometimes hard when Charlie is berating me for not doing enough for him.
Right.
And doesn't think of doing anything much for me. Except I love Charlie when I'm with him and we're going out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, drinking beers, going to a movie.
Yeah.
He is fun.
Yeah.
None of this is there then. He just clicks into party mode. So that's it. But so that's a difficult conversation. According to the writers of this book, Stone, Patton, and Heen.
Yes.
And you can get them on YouTube if you want to see them. They say all difficult conversations should not be. I think you were going in this direction. You should get rid of blame.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really blaming so far in describing the situation. Right? I think he's wrong. I'm the good guy.
Right. Yes.
Now, according to them, we should see how we both contributed to the situation. That there's no right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
As you were going toward, since Charlie's upbringing was so hard, he was in some ways like the heavy man who didn't yet have the MAGA hat in your story, right?
Yes.
Oh, except that guy was a nice guy, though. This is a little different.
Well, he was at least nice in that moment.
Yes, and the blind person was this is not one of those stories. Charlie is really hard. Many people have felt this.
But don't you think that that entitlement might come out of an anger that his mother wasn't there for him, and projecting that loss and that anger and that need onto anyone who shows him love?
That could be too, yes.
Yeah.
So you're helping me have more compassion. However, I was going to get one from you, but I have another one that's coming out.
Yeah, okay, let's go with that then.
This was my mother.
Your mother, yes.
My mother was tough. It was a great training as a child. If she didn't like the way you said, she said, don't me, and stop laughing at me. This is not a joke, and stop crying.
Yes.
Boys don't cry.
Right,
Make
there
me
you
feel like I'm
go.
a bad mother.
There it is, yeah.
This has happened many times. I was hit for whatever reason. So, eventually, when my mother started intruding in my life as an adult, I decided, Mom, I can't interact with you. And I stopped. I said, I'm going to do it. I'm a student. I'm going to do it like they do at school, 4 years, and then we can graduate and try again.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did it for just about 4 years. She's living in New Jersey. I'm living here. And my father calls me at the end of the fourth year and says, your mom just had a heart attack. I'd appreciate it if you'd call her. I've never disobeyed my father because he's always wanted me to be free, so he doesn't tell me what to do.
Good, yes.
So I call her, invite her. I said, when you're feeling good, you can come and visit in Cambridge. I know you'll like the city. And she comes, and I rented a home for her. Mopsy Strange Kennedy and her lawyer husband, who's a Harvard professor, were going away for the summer. And I rented the home for my mother. Pick her up at the airport, drive to the home. She opens the refrigerator, and she says, Michael, there's no food. What kind of host are you? I came over the same mother. I came over, says, won't hit me anymore, but she stopped when my bones got too hard and hurt her hands. But she starts screaming at me. I say, Mom, we're starting again. Let's learn to talk to each other nicely.
Yeah.
And she says, I hope you can take this. Stop trying to control me. You're Hitler. You know what you are? You're Hitler.
She called you Hitler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whoa. And this is after 4 years of silence.
Right. This is your reunification. Had she reached out to you during those 4 years, or it was complete? You were totally estranged.
I don't think she did. I knew she knew I wasn't going to.
Yeah.
So I say, I'm an adult now. Mom, I think we should talk more nicely to each other. I'm going to go now. I'll be back with some breakfast in the morning. If you need any food, there's a 24-hour store just down the block. And I come back the following morning, and I see her at breakfast, and she says, first time in our life, Michael, I think you're right. We should talk to each other more kindly. And I knew that she was afraid I wouldn't talk to her again. It wasn't just, okay, I've come.
Yes, right.
And when I drove her in the car, I could literally see her putting her tongue between her teeth, not to say anything.
Yeah.
And she was so grateful. It was really my father's job to do this. That someone finally had helped, if you'll forgive the example, declaw.
Yes. To bring it back
Take
around.
out the teeth. But to tame this habit of hers that it alienated her children, her husband, and made her so lonely and miserable. And she became, my next door neighbor said, she looks like the most devoted mother I've ever seen in my life. She was so grateful.
Yeah.
And we got on much better. She helped me, she helped buy a car for me,
Mm-hmm.
a condo. It was quite.
That's lovely. And then I assume she's no longer with us.
Right.
Did it continue to be a positive relationship from that point out, or was it kind of cyclical where it was?
It never went there.
Yeah.
She once accused me of stealing the condo from her. She had given me the money to buy one,
And then
and then she was getting old and forgot.
Right.
And it was a long discussion to remind her. I would never let my mother buy a condo in the building over me.
But I think what you just kind of the whole thing that you just described is very interesting, and obviously with your mother, I mean that's literally the most primal and immediate relationship you'll ever have. So it's so much more profound if it's that person. But I think with anyone with whom you have a relationship that is in some way either even if abusive is too extreme a word, but uneven, or that one person is unhappy in the relationship and one person is unhappy in the way that they're treated in the relationship, and that there's behavior patterns in which one person is sort of the aggrieved and the other person is the aggressor, and the other person may not fully even realize what they're doing until the person who's not happy stands up for themselves and draws that boundary and makes a very stark declaration of what the problem is, where it is, and that it's not acceptable.
Right.
And I think that it is possible, if people want to, that it might be strong enough incentive to save the relationship. And in your example, of course, you were kind of coming back to your relationship with your mom as an adult, and sort of you could stand on your own 2 feet, so to speak, and you were a man now, and you didn't have to take it anymore, so to speak, and maybe there was a point with your mom too, in whatever in a way that might have been misguided or distorted. Maybe she was doing some of these things because she wanted to protect you or toughen you up or prepare you for the world, right? And she thought that was her job.
Yeah, no crying. Yeah,
yeah, no crying. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a lot of, I think that's not uncommon, right? Parents feeling like they need to toughen their kids up, and by hitting them or whatever, or boys don't cry,
after being hit.
Yes, exactly. And
That sounds like boot camp, actually.
a lot of childhoods are like boot camp, maybe. But that behavior pattern was no longer reasonable, no longer in any way appropriate, and no longer going to be accepted by you. Was I think I think that it was very mature of you, the way that you handled it. And you were what age when this happened?
I was in my mid-30s.
Mm-hmm. Good. So you were, and then, but it's, as you said, it wouldn't last. And your mom, was she ever diagnosed? And this is a personal question, of course, with any sort of mental illness or anything like that?
Not officially.
Yeah.
Not officially.
Not officially, which is, I think, the case for, all throughout history, where we didn't know about these things, or it's...
Now, there's so much to talk, I want to hear from you. Is this applicable with Charlie, who is still a friend of mine, and still the same?
Mm-hmm. In what sense applicable?
Could I, this is my temptation, but I have a confession to make. This was so successful with my mother that unfortunately I used it to with my other relationships with women.
Mm-hmm.
I would give ultimatums
Mm-hmm.
when they weren't appropriate. It was more appropriate, as we discovered with our rewarding conversations at the beginning of last show,
Yeah.
to see, even with the slobbering blind man, oh, if I really see what's going on, it's really me that's making more of the lack of connection, or you and the man sitting on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
So it would not have been appropriate to tell the blind man, I'm not going to hug you unless you hug me very gently.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could have done that too, but not with the attitude I had.
Right.
So the hard question for me is, can I apply that limit setting with Charlie the way I did with my mother?
Well, here's how I would feel about that, is that the stakes are lesser for both of you, right?
Yes, much less. I mean, that Charlie's an old friend. He's in a old age home now.
Okay.
We fly to Chicago and visit him.
Oh, in the old age home.
Or whatever they call it, assisted living.
Assisted living facility.
Yeah. And I don't want to. Not the way Charlie, whatever I do for Charlie, it's not enough.
Right.
So, I haven't called.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie calls when he needs me.
Yes, I have some friends like that too.
And then he'll say, why haven't you called?
Yeah, yeah.
If we get into it, I'm going to say, when I see you, I'll talk about that. And then I might, I haven't done that with him. Said, because he'll get angry. This is why it's so hard for me. And according to these books, this book, Difficult Conversations, you're supposed to share all your feelings and thoughts after you negotiate with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the example I gave you with the blind person.
Mm-hmm.
After I got the facts and negotiated, my feelings changed drastically. And after you got the facts from the man sitting watching the declawed cat, you behave differently and will have different feelings toward him.
Yeah.
So that's what they mean, but they mean they say all feelings. Because otherwise they get bottled up and attack me.
So did I misunderstand this? The book is positing that you should have that interpersonal negotiation before revealing or expressing your feelings.
I mean, I should really and I can't blame Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of blaming words.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it's you, I'm leaving myself. It's not even fair to me.
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel when this happens? To focus on that. This is what I feel. So it's not just dumping, blaming feelings on someone, as both of us wanted to do with, you felt toward the man on the bench,
Mm-hmm.
and I felt toward the hugger. But, so that's part of negotiating, to express them in a way that's not blaming, and to even say, this is challenging for me, and you can tell me what's challenging for you.
Mm-hmm.
But should I? let Charlie know this is hard and I don't want this to continue. I think I should, from what I'm telling you.
I mean, I think it sounds like you do need a little bit more honesty in your dialogue.
Right, rather than just keeping a distance and
Yes.
parrying the blows.
Yes.
I think you're right. A little scary, sad, and to be done kindly.
Mm-hmm.
And to feel that loving connection first.
Yes.
But then to really be honest, which it might be hard for me because I'm interested in blaming him rather than what does it feel like for me?
Mm-hmm.
What do I think when this happens? What's the impact?
Right.
And I'm not blaming you, but I need to tell you this is very challenging, hard, painful, and this is what I want and need. I'm not telling you you have to do it, but this is what I want to need if you want us to at least more frequently interact.
Mm-hmm.
You agree, huh? And we had promised you this would be clash.
We could still clash. We have 6 minutes. What do you want to clash about?
Well, you tell me one of your difficult interactions if you'd like.
I mean, it's difficult because I don't want to. I kind of don't want to out anybody. I don't want to bring.
Well, change their sex, their name, their age.
I don't know. I don't know if that. I mean, I think that a lot of the things that you've been talking about or that we've been talking about apply to a lot of friendships that I've had over the years. And when you're in a situation where, well, I'll give you one example. I'll keep it a little bit vague, but I currently have someone who has reached out to me a number of times, who's going through a difficult time in their life, and I know enough about the relationship to know that if I were to sort of engage, even though I want to because I want to help, I'd be in a situation of either having to give something that I don't have to give, be that, financial or otherwise.
Oh yes, we haven't even gone there. Yes.
Or
Or say no.
or have to say no.
Yeah.
And I know that that's where it's going. So and I don't think I think this has happened. Probably it happens regularly. I think in people's lives where you just kind of avoid people, not because you don't like them, but because
you're afraid of you don't want to say no.
You don't want to say no, and you don't have what you don't have. You know that they're looking for something that you don't have to offer,
or don't want to offer, Right, and there's a way, at least from what we've discussed here, there's a way. I feel that about Charlie too. There's a way to say, if there's a way to say that without blaming.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you? I'll be that person, okay? We'll call him Mike.
Mike, okay.
And let's see what kind of conversation we can have. We have 3 minutes.
Okay. All right.
So I haven't seen you a lot, Will. I mean, I love you.
Back at ya, Mike.
Oh, great. What's up?
Nothing. I'm sorry to hear that you had to sell the donut farm, and I heard all about the trailer fire, and that you lost your rare coin collection, and I'm really sorry to hear about all those things, and I wish you the best in life, and I'd like us to continue to be friends.
Wishing is all you got to offer me?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
With a wish in 210, I could go on a red line to downtown Boston. That's not going to help me much.
I hear there's some nice shops down there, actually.
Yeah, you know, I don't rub it in. I can't afford that stuff.
No, but you can always do some window shopping.
You're not. Is this a friend of? You're not going to be there for me, Will?
No.
How come?
Because I can't because it's something that I don't have to offer because
Is it can't or won't?
um
Don't want to.
all those things.
Oh, there's
yeah.
well, there's a big difference.
Yeah, all those things. Yeah. No, there is a big difference, but you know, I mean, that's like asking, you know, is this does this cake have eggs, butter, and sugar? Those are three different things, but the cake has all of
Yes.
them.
So you can't and don't want to
Yeah.
because
Be- because it's not something I want to do, and it's not something that's fair of you to expect of me or anyone really.
you're telling me my feelings are wrong.
Yeah, your feelings are wrong. See, this is why I'm not. I think I made the right decision.
No, but we have to do this again.
Okay.
There are techniques. This is beautiful.
Okay.
But that's why we don't do it.
This is-
Supposedly, there are skills
Uh-huh.
we could learn to be able to have the conversation.
Yes.
But it's not easy. And stay tuned. We'll be back again.